Hello and welcome to Wrestling Payments. We are going to be doing something different this time. We are going to start a 3-part series on and named the NACHA SmackDown Rules Violations in the Ring. I can tell you, if I commit to this, if you're a payments fan, I think you'll enjoy it. If you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll enjoy it. There's lots of information we're going to go over, and I'm hoping to do it in a wrestling theme. It's the reason I got this podcast started. I was hoping to have some fun, talk about some payments, and educate folks and make this information available. I can tell you I am working from the NACHA System of Fines ACH Rule Enforcement Case Studies. It's a document available to Payment Association members. NEACH is going to be making it available very soon. You can research all of these cases yourself if you want to see when things go wrong, how wrong do they go. So today is episode 1. We are going to be talking about the reversal rumble. When the tables turn, who gets slammed? You liking this? Hope you're liking this. So we got 2 case studies we're going over. And I'm going to do a little bit from the script I wrote and a little bit from the actual document talking about the case study. So first we have up the improper reversal takedown. It is, and all the names have been changed to protect the innocent, Glen Transportation versus KJN Storage.
Welcome in, everybody. You're listening to Wrestling Payments, a podcast where we help payment professionals contend with the challenges of modernizing their payments operations and identifying ways to build for the future. If you're interested in payments innovation and modernization, you're in the right place. Now, let's get into it.
So, welcome to the ring, payment fans. Today we'll be witnessing the most controversial reversal in NACHA history, where competition thought they could flip the script and walk away with the money only to get caught in a regulatory headlock. And our first act is up. We're going to set up the case. According to my script, we're going to introduce Glen Transportation as a heel who's tried to reverse $50,000 in payments to KJN Storage without proper authorization, essentially attempting a cheap shot after the bell has rung. Let's do that. Let's set it up. So we have in front of us improper reversals case study. It technically, when you get this, we are on version 1.6 of this case study. We're on page 7. And here are the facts. The claim: K&K State Bank received a notice of possible rules violation related to improper reversing entry involving their originator, Glen Transportation. So here's the background, not the background, the background. Glen Transportation initiated an ACH credit entry to its trading partner, KJN Storage, in the amount of $50,000. The following day, Glen Transportation sent an ACH debit entry in the amount of $50,000 to KJN Storage in an attempt to reverse the credit entry. Upon receiving the reversal entry, the receiving bank, a claim bank, contacted their receiver, KJN Storage, and determined if they were aware of the reversal. KJN Storage stated that they were unaware of the reversal and that they were entitled to the funds based on an invoice sent to Glen Transportation. At the end of the day, that's really between them two, but let's keep going. After contacting K&K State Bank and failing to resolve the issue, a claim bank filed a rules violation citing Glen Transportation failure to notify the receiver of a reversing entry and the origination of an improper reversal due to the fact that the reversal entry did not meet any of the reasons for the valid reversal. It was not duplicate, it was not an incorrect amount, and it did not order payment to or from a different receiver than the receiver intended. K&K State Bank denied the violation, stating that the credit entry itself was unintended. Interesting. Okay. So in Act 2, the confrontation. We detailed how a claimed bank representing K&J challenged the reversal, exposing Glen Transportation was trying to use the ACH network as a dispute mechanism, a clear violation of the rules. So let's see. NACHA. So NACHA, if you're unaware, NACHA has a rules enforcement panel. All of the cases go through the panel if needed to be. This probably needed to be. They go through the rules enforcement panel. The panel decides the facts of the case and whether or not a rules violation has occurred. So let's look into the inner workings of NACHA. K&K State Bank denied the violation was refuted by NACHA because the reason for the reversal did not meet any of the reasons for a valid reversal under the rules. The system of fines does not judge or resolve an underlying dispute between an originator and receiver, such as this case. I think I mentioned that earlier. It's really between the parties. The resolution of the dispute between an originator and receiver should happen off or out of the ACH network. Now, the other part of this case is that there's fines. If it is a true rules violation, there are potential fines. So in this case, was there a fine? As it was the first instance of the infraction by K&K State Bank and its originator, the financial institution received a warning letter, which is not subject to a fine. So in this case, if it happened again by K&K State Bank, there could be a fine as a recurrence. All right, let's get to the second feature. I'm going to just search out my document. We have a special second feature, which is a really interesting case. All the names have been changed. I'll just stop there. Okay, this is a really good case. Okay, let me look at our script. Again, welcome. Hope you're enjoying this. I'll try to answer the questions that I hear you saying, even though I don't hear you saying them. Okay, this one, the second feature is called Tag Team Betrayal. Tells a dramatic story of the Workforce Assist failing to fund payroll credits, but Processing for You, Inc., initiating unauthorized reversals to recover funds already distributed to employees. Oh, this is a bad one, folks. This is the ultimate heel turn. If you know the ACH at all, the first and primary rule, you cannot issue a reversal simply because the funds aren't available to pay a payroll. That is not a reason for reversal. All the steps should have been taken prior to that file hitting the network to not allow an ODFI and originator to say, "Oh, never mind." Okay, there's some repercussions in this case. Maybe an injury that we're going to have to talk about afterwards. But let's read the case. This is a real interesting case. Really happened. There's a lot of lessons to be learned here from originator and third-party sender underwriting and monitoring. How do you know if you're an ODFI? How would you know that a third-party sender isn't doing this? How would you know? So let's talk about the case. The claim: Norton Bank, a receiving financial institution for some of Macklan Development employees. I hope I'm the right case. Yeah, let's go with the right case. So they're the RDFI for Macklan Development employees. They began to receive numerous phone calls from their customers complaining about the reversal of payroll credit. In some cases, Norton Bank customers had received multiple payroll reversals. Yes, I said that. So they got their regular payroll. They then received the reversal of that payroll and received another reversal of that payroll. What, you say? How could that happen? Let's see. So the background of the case: Macklan Development began receiving phone calls from their employees. So not only did the bank start receiving phone calls, the company the originator started receiving phone calls. They began receiving phone calls from their employees complaining about payroll funds being withdrawn as ACH reversals from their bank accounts. Having employed Workforce Assist to handle all of the payroll needs, Macklan Development reached out to Workforce Assist to determine if they were aware of any issues with the company payroll. Macklan Development confirmed that its account had been debited for the company's payroll. So if you're aware, typically a day or two before payroll, a third-party sender, a third-party service provider, probably a third-party service provider in this case, would debit the funds out of Macklan's account to fund the payroll and then send out the credits. They want to make sure that Macklan had the funds to pay the payrolls before they actually sent out credits. But they did that. They took the money out of the account and they sent out the payrolls. Calls to Workforce Assist went unanswered. Not a good sign. Macklan Development contacted its financial institution, Crawford Bank, for advice on how to address this issue. Crawford Bank's advice was for Macklan employees to work directly with their respective financial institutions and request that the reversals be returned as unauthorized. Okay, so what they're saying is all the receivers should go to the bank and say, those reversals are unauthorized, send them back. Okay. Due to the increasing customer phone calls and withdrawn wages, Norton Bank, a receiving financial institution for some of Macklan Development's employees, filed a notice of possible ACH rules violation against the ODFI of the reversal, Simon Bank. It's a very good point, very good thing. I do not imagine this happened between the phone calls from the receivers. I imagine this was after the fact, after they figured out what happened. They did notice a possible rule violation. Norton Bank stated that the reversal did not meet the criteria for a valid reversal according to the NACHA rules and were therefore unauthorized. It's a good claim. Simon Bank acknowledged the rule violation after working with its third-party sender. Interesting. So the ODFI said, yep, we did it. Processing for You. Where did they come from? Processing for You, which initiated the payroll reversals. So Processing for You, Inc., a third-party payment processor, worked directly with the Workforce Assist, there it is, to provide ACH processing. We have a case of nested third parties here, where Workforce Assist, the company we started off with as the third-party service provider, is using Processing for You, Inc. to handle part of that process. And in this case, Processing for You sent out the reversing entries. So more from the ODFI. Simon Bank stated, once Processing for You had learned that its customer, Workforce Assist, had not funded the payroll credits, it initiated the reversal in order to recover the funds that had been distributed via payroll credits. Do you guys remember Jurassic Park? That is not an option. Not allowed, not an option. As you see, I'm saying it's not an option, but it happened. The technology can happen, so it's important for ODFIs to have controls on these third-party service providers so that they know, hey, they're doing something that's not okay. But let's continue with the case. Processing for You had been made aware of the allowable reasons for initiating a reversing entry. Failure to be funded by its customer, Workforce Assist, is not a valid reason for a reversing entry. Processing for You was informed by Simon Bank that all the returns of the reversals would be honored. So that's great. Simon Bank said, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to take all of those back. Simon Bank developed and delivered a letter of indemnity to all the impacted RDFIs. Great. Part of the rules. Simon Bank indicated that it would develop automated controls to monitor and suspend ACH reversals that exceeded normal activity. Great. That's a great story. Simon did the right thing. Let's see. So that's Simon responding to NACHA. They said, hey, here's our plan on fixing this for the rules violation we just admitted to committing. So what did the panel decide? NACHA classified this violation as potential Class 2 infraction because of its impact to the consumers, businesses, RDFIs, and the ACH network. So for you folks, the last example we went over was the normal process. A rules violation comes in, a notice of possible rules violation comes in. NACHA says, okay, this is the first time we've gotten something from them. We're going to start the rules process. We're going to go through Class 1, Class 2. In this case, they went right to Class 2. None of the messing around. They went right to Class 2, a serious violation. consumer accounts. Oh, so this caused harm or could cause harm to the network. So the ACH Rules Enforcement Panel determined the ODFI and its third-party sender had committed a Class 2 rules violation and had caused excessive harm as follow. I can tell you, if you're ever involved in one of these, if you see the word excessive harm, it's bad. Consumer accounts were drained when the third-party sender initiated reversing in order to claw back the funds, some consumers receiving more than one reversal. Businesses had to access reserve funds to pay the employees again. The ACH network suffered substantial reputational risk as these transactions were processed via ACH. Receiving banks were greatly impacted by having to deal with angry customers and the processing of unauthorized reversals. So what was the fine? And I got some words after this that are important. What was the fine? As a Class 2 violation, the financial institution was subject to a fine between $0 and $100,000 per month until the issue was resolved. A one-time fine of $100,000 was imposed against Simon Bank. That is a serious fine. In this episode, we had a $0 fine and we had a $100,000 fine. This was a real case. I actually remember it happening. I'm still not going to name names to protect the innocent. The third party didn't really know what they were doing. They never created a reversing file. Hence, when they tried, they sent one out that was incorrect, but not incorrect enough to be stopped in the network. So it did go through and debited all the employees. They then submitted the corrected reversing file, which went through and debited them again. RDFIs get the reputational issues here. It's the look what my bank did. They took my money. Why would the bank take my money? The bank didn't take the money. Whoever the originator was using to send the payrolls took the money. It's a very bad thing. Companies, small businesses work. I don't want to say work paycheck to paycheck, but do they have enough money on hand to pay a second payroll in any given time? Plus which, before all the details are in, there is not one concerted effort to say, okay, everyone hold up, because people are like, where's my money? I got to pay my rent. Things are bad. So what's happening? In some cases, the employers were issuing paychecks again, literally writing paychecks. In some cases, the RDFIs were making amends. Still not having gotten that money back, they were giving the money to customers. So it was a big mess. It was all over the news. And when you hear things like this in the news, it's not, a third-party processor didn't follow proper risk management steps and they'd sent something out that they shouldn't. They hear the banks are taking back your direct deposits. So there definitely was potential reputational risk there. Interesting. This is an ad for good due diligence, proper management, proper oversight, things that originators and ODFIs should be aware of. All right, let's turn back on the wrestling bug. Just like in wrestling, when you try to reverse the outcome after the match is over, you'll find yourself facing the regulatory referee. In the NACHA ring, proper reversals require proper cause, not just a desire to take back what you've already given. Dun, dun, dun. Hope you enjoyed this episode. There's going to be another episode next week or sooner. It depends on how it all turns out. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next NACHA Rumble.
On behalf of NEACH, your trusted resource in payments, and our guests, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to hear more about payments innovation and modernization, you can find the Wrestling Payments Podcast on the podcast page of NEACH.org or wherever you subscribe to podcasts. Just search for Wrestling Payments in your podcast app. Thanks for listening.